the KUSI News at 6.
Well, fees to build housing in America's finest city are once again on the rise. San Diego City Council has approved new fee hikes this week to cover more city workers and new technology. City leaders hope this generates more than $15 million for the Development Services Department. That could mean more housing permits get approved, according to the UT. Now, critics say it actually adds yet another barrier for new homes to be built. And expensive building fees could just be one factor contributing to why San Diegans are paying so much for rent, many spending more than half of their income on rent each month. So here to talk more about that and break down some data for us is real estate expert Mark Powell. Mark, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kasia.
And it is kind of depressing when we talk about this because this affects everyone in San Diego. We were just talking about some of the numbers. It's alarming just how high of a percentage people are dealing with this, paying more than half their income on rent each month.
Well, 80% of the people that are considered extremely low income, that's making about $35,000 a year, pay over half of their income for rent. And then it breaks down to about 50% that are making $75,000 are making around the same amount. But the problem is, Kasia, is all of these government mandates that they keep imposing are making it more and more difficult for these people to make ends meet. They're having to make decisions like, do I get my medication, do I feed my family, or do I pay my rent?
Yeah, we're talking about that. It was about 35 to 50% of the cost of building at this point kind of is attributed to permit fees, which obviously then gets passed on to the average person buying or renting a home.
Absolutely, and you just heard on their last story, they're raising the permit fees again. The cost to put an ADU and the permit for an ADU has doubled. So 35 to 50% the cost of building, that's what government can control. However, they keep imposing these different fees. They're putting on the ballot a tax increase of 1%, a countywide tax increase of 0.5%. SDG&E is going up $25 a month for everybody. So government is the problem. They're getting in the way, but there's ways to curb these fees. And what they can do is offer maybe tax credits for developers, or maybe waive or streamline the permitting fee, or they can privatize the permitting fee process. These are things that the city needs to start considering. I mean, if you went to get your car fixed, and the estimate to get it fixed was as much as it cost to fix it, you'd probably say, hey, it's about time I go to a different mechanic. This is just not working out for me. It's too expensive.
Well, let's talk about, too, some of the measures on the other side of that, some advocates for rent control. What can you tell us about that? I know there's been a lot of effort on the other side, you know, once the money or the cost has already been passed on to the people, there's some measures to try to control rent as well.
Okay, this is government's solution to a problem that they caused. So now they want to pass a law called the Justice for Renters Act. Essentially, it's rent control, and it's a statewide initiative, but it's called Justice for Renters. So when you look at this, you're going to say, wow, Justice for Renters, this makes a lot of sense. So I encourage all your viewers that are going to vote this year to read this initiative. So what it's going to do is it's going to include single-family homes and condominiums in rent control statewide. Right now, they're exempt. So there may be creating a board or an agency that can say, Kasia, you own a rental property and you can make $3,500 a month on it. But we've determined that you can only charge $2,500. That's a stripping of our private property rights. That's what makes America great. It's the foundation of our country, the ability to own property. Now, there's limits on property rights. You can't put an oil well in your backyard. But, you know, to tell people how much they can charge to rent their place, that's incredible.
It feels like it's hurting someone in the long run, either the renters or with the rent protection. It's obviously hurting the people on the business side, like you said.
It always gets passed down to the renters. It seems like the renters are always the ones that are suffering. And when you look at this, it's called debt to income ratio. When you do these comparisons, when you say how much can a person afford, it's eating up 50% of the rent. Well, when you increase taxes and you increase fees such as water, utilities, cable, all these fees go up, it just removes that incentive to even live in California. A lot of people, as you know, are just getting out of here. And, you know, we had about 500,000 leave just recently.
Or we're clinging on, those who are still here to afford it, right?
Yeah, we're holding on.
Mark Powell, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, this conversation only continues, so we look forward to continuing it with you sometime in the future.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time.